Hello, lovelies. This is 5 Minute Manifesting, and I'm your host, Lovey Brown. Thank you so much for listening. I'm thrilled that you're here. And today I want to talk to you about a mistake that we can make or something that we can do when we're manifesting that feels almost really good. It's very attractive to do when depending on what you're manifesting and the circumstances. And that is focusing too much and talking too much about what the external circumstances are. And so very often it's very attractive to want to tell everyone or your best friend or your manifesting coach about everything that's going on with your specific person. All the details over and over again. They texted you. They didn't text you. They waited 4 hours to text you. You haven't heard from them in 3 weeks. You saw that they had a post on Instagram where they're, with a girl or a boy or whoever. Yeah. And so you do all these things, and I understand it because I very often want to do it too, or I have in the past. And, I've kind of trained myself out of it. But it feels almost good, right? To just talk about it and get it out and want to just focus on it. But what you're talking about, like when you're talking about it with so many different people over and over again, all of that is focus. And your focus is what manifests. So I want you to start looking at the current circumstances, if they're not what you want, as just the past, the thing that it's already manifested. It's old news. It's what your past focus has brought into 3D reality. It's what your past focus has manifested. And you're going to change your current focus, your current internal focus, to something different, to what you want, exactly what you want. And that's what you're going to do, because that is what manifests. That's what selects the out picturing in your 3D reality. And you have to select what you want. That's how manifesting works. You have to select with your focus what you want. And all of this conversation, all of this wanting to vent about potential negative circumstances with your specific person, with your financial situation, with, your job, and you're looking for your dream job, all of that venting, all of that focus on the current negative circumstances keeps that alive in your reality. It keeps it alive because that's where your focus is. Now, I'm not saying that you have to deny what those circumstances are. I'm just saying you don't have to dwell on them, right? Like, you don't have to lie about if you're, you can, honestly, you can just kind of tell yourself a lie. You can lie to other people. You can do that, right? But you don't have to. You don't have to deny what those circumstances are. You can be really honest, and then in that moment of honesty, you don't let the other person you're talking to, if you're in a conversation, keep going on that train. You stop that, change the subject. You can change the subject. You can, sort of just change it to something optimistic. Say we haven't talked in a week or so, but I'm sure we'll get in touch soon if it's a specific person situation. Or, things at work aren't great, but, I'm confident that my new job is going to be here any day now. Or whatever sort of thing that you want to say that gets your focus on what you want and not on what you don't want. Now, I understand that the pull feels really good. It feels attractive to want to vent or to just want to talk about and focus on what you don't want sometimes. And we have to acknowledge that to ourselves. Now, so I have worked with a manifesting coach, and there have been times in sessions with my manifesting coach. Now, she does not really allow sessions to be about what the current circumstances are. Yeah, she'll get a couple of details, and then we go straight into focusing on what I want and straight into getting to what's going to manifest, right? That is how her sessions work. She does not allow this dwelling thing. But there have been times where especially early on in working with her, is when I was learning this thing that I'm telling you today, that I just wanted to talk about the circumstances. I knew not to talk about them with my friends. I knew not to talk about it with the world at large. But I thought with my manifesting coach, I could like sink into that like complaining kind of space. And she just wouldn't allow it. So I learned to say something like, hey, so I really just want to like talk about my circumstances for a minute. Like, can I do that? And she's like, yeah, sure. Let's talk about it. But, let's refocus back on what we want, what we're manifesting. And she's right. Like, that is how it works. And so, so if you do have that urge, and sometimes it's really strong. I understand it. I understand that there can be a really strong urge to just want to complain, to just want to vent, to just want to say, but that, if it goes on too long, and if you don't acknowledge really how good it feels, because that's where your focus is, right? And there's something about it that, I'm not going to say it's what you want, because, right, I know when I do that, when I make that choice, it's not what I want, but there is something about it that feels good, and I want something else, right? So let's just break it down for a second. So when you're in that state where you just really, you have that urge and you want to complain. You want to complain about your specific person. You want to vent about your specific person. What can you do? And so one is just acknowledge that to yourself. Like, you have that urge and you want to do it. And then you just make a choice in that moment to say okay, I'm going to do it. Like in my sessions with my coach, right? She's like, okay, do it for just a minute. And then that's how long I have to do it, to explain and say what I want to say. And then she refocuses me right back to the manifesting, right? So that's what you can do. You can do this. Now, if you don't want to do it with a person, you need to know, I think, if you want to do it with another person, who's a good person, who either maybe knows about manifest, or maybe they don't. Maybe they just naturally have a more positive outlook and they don't want to dwell on things that feel negative or feel angsty, and you just have a lot of energy towards it. So maybe you find someone who redirects you easily, or maybe you try this first before you go to another person. You try doing it in a journal or in an email to yourself. And I've really found, I've written a lot of emails to myself. I've written a lot of journals, that just getting it out allows me to focus on what I do want, right? So we're taking our energy, our focus energy, with our words, with our actions, even with our internal thoughts and feelings, and we're noticing them. We're bringing awareness to what's going on with me, right? Oh, I feel some kind of way. I feel angry, or I feel hurt about this situation. Whatever those circumstances are, with your specific person, with your financial situation, with your job, with your health, whatever that is, and you feel some kind of way about it, and you want to talk about it, or you want to get it out, just find a way to do that briefly. And then return your attention to what you want. And I promise, the more you practice this, the easier it gets. But the first step is really realizing that that's going on, and realizing that it's attractive and feels good, right? Because that's how we get stuck, or it's how we can get stuck in recreating the same circumstances over and over again, because we're just so focused on them. We're just so focused on, this cycle of, hot and cold. We're just so focused on having this job that we don't like. But what we do is we take our attention away from that. We acknowledge it. We vent if we need to, but very briefly, like in a journal or with a trusted friend or a coach that can redirect you really quickly and is not going to let you dwell there, and then refocus on what we want. And that's what I wanted to share with you today. So thank you so much for listening, and may you manifest exactly what you want.